Hi, I'm Femi Okay, and you're in the stream. Today, will India trade privacy for protection?
I'm Malika Bilal. Critics say a government plan to curb the spread of misinformation online could lead to censorship. Let us know what you think. Tweet your comments or leave them in the YouTube chat, and we'll do our best to include them in our conversation.
Meet Rajat. He started his class's WhatsApp group and became super popular.
Hey, I was always popular, huh?
Timetable changes, celebrating class cancellations, rehearsal updates, sharing notes, farewells, crying over surprise tests. Everything happens on the group. Rajat may be the admin, but he's never really had to act like one. Except today.
Are you really sure that this is true?
No, man. It was a forward, so I thought...
Rajat patiently explained that such messages could create tension and turn people against each other.
I mean, it's dangerous. Please don't do this again, yeah. Or else I'll have to remove you from the group. Come, let's go get...
So that's an advertisement produced by the world's biggest messaging platform, WhatsApp, encouraging Indians to share joy, not rumours. India's government wants to crack down on the spread of alleged fake news online, proposing new regulations critics say are an affront to free expression and privacy. The rules would force tech companies like WhatsApp to remove unlawful content or risk penalty. It would also require these companies to provide government agencies with backdoor access to their services.
Although WhatsApp has so far resisted pressure to provide access to its encryption, the company has deleted millions of accounts to curb the spread of potentially lethal misinformation. Still, civil liberties advocates remain skeptical of the proposal, suggesting a slippery slope toward greater censorship, especially ahead of India's election.
Joining us from Delhi, India, to explore the proposal and its possibilities, Alia Tucker is a technology and politics reporter for Quartz India. Apar Gupta is a lawyer and the executive director at the Internet Freedom Foundation. Burgess Maloo is the head of public policy and policy communications at ShareChat. That's one of India's largest social media platforms. And with us on the set, we have Sudhanand Duma. He researches South Asian politics and business as a research fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. That's a Washington, D.C. based think tank. Hello, everybody. It's good to have you in the stream. I want to show our viewers what rumours can do on WhatsApp in India. Have a look here. New York Times headline, rumours on WhatsApp ignite 2 mob attacks in India, killing 7. That might look like a freak occurrence, but have a look at this from the Quint. Lynchings due to WhatsApp rumours claim 19 lives in 2 months. Scrolling down to another story, 5 lynched over child lifting rumours. Another story, 3 lynchings in 24 hours. Another story, 40-year-old woman beaten to death. Another story, 2 youths killed over WhatsApp rumours in Assam. 2 killed, trans woman killed in Hyderabad. So many stories there linking the killings to WhatsApp. Arya, as you report on tech in India, what is it like to see one of these rumours? What kind of incendiary WhatsApp message would you have to see to then go out and kill somebody?
Sure. Last summer was really big for mob lynchings that many believe were spurred by rumors that were spread on WhatsApp. And a lot of these rumors took the form of, as you mentioned, child lifting rumors. So what those were messages that were forwarded among communities on WhatsApp, often with video components that claimed that child kidnappers were roaming around in the community and looking to kidnap and harm children. And at one point that those rumors were linked with a video that was actually from a completely different country, and that was a truncated video that actually omitted the end. And so it made it look like it was a video of a child getting taken away. And these rumors proliferated among communities, and people got really panicky and scared about them, and ended up targeting people who they perceived as fitting the description of these child kidnappers. And last summer, I believe over 24 people were killed in mob lynchings. Not all of them were child kidnapping rumors, but that was a predominant type of rumor that caused killings.
And what you're telling us, Arya, is almost reiterated here in a video comment that we got from the district police chief of a section of Telangana state. Her name is Rima Rajeswari, and she talks to us about the first time she began to start noticing social media rumors that were spreading. And she told us a story about having a meeting with one of her police officers who talks about what he saw that was so unusual. Here's what she told the stream.
He saw people sleeping inside their homes and none of the villagers were sleeping outside. You see, summers in Telangana are extremely hot and people usually, especially the ones who live in the villages, sleep outside. So I asked him to go back and find out what was wrong. He came back in 48 hours and he told me that these residents were receiving certain videos and voice messages in the local WhatsApp groups, and these videos were very graphic and warned them of interstate criminal gangs and child-lifting gangs.
So they received the videos, Burgess, and then they went on the lookout for anyone in the town that they didn't recognize. So you can just see how this begins to start. Did any of that surprise you?
Not really. I think it's the fact that they're tying up it with WhatsApp is problematic because in India, law and order is generally sometimes not as effective as it could be in other Western countries. And so the idea of lynchings is quite common. People do tend to take the law in their own hands. And if someone steals a mobile phone, for instance, people tend to catch a guy and try and beat him up. So connecting it with WhatsApp is a bit problematic. But yes, it has become a considerable problem for the law enforcement officials in India because there's been a spurt of content of videos that have not been shot in India that have originated from other countries, but have become problematic for folks in India.
I want to show you this headline from the AFP. This was from last year. It starts, "Death by fake news, social media fueled lynchings shock India." I'm going to play you a little clip from a lady who knows the people who were actually killed, and it describes what happened to them. The village mob wielding bamboo sticks, machetes of rocks. Friends were driving back from a day in the country. 2 innocent people killed due to something that was spread on WhatsApp. What does the friend of the people who were killed have to say about what could be done? Have a listen.
On the other hand, yes, we also see how fake news is spreading through technology, and it's a WhatsApp message, and people there don't even give it a second thought. It's news for them, and they believe in it. So yeah, that is happening, but we cannot not promote technology because this is happening.
Sudanand, there's somebody who is grieving. But she also says you can't stop technology in order to fix this problem. But the government are looking at maybe we need to regulate the platforms rather than do anything else. What's your
I think
thoughts?
this whole thing is a bit of a red herring.
Okay.
Right? What's happening over here is, this is a classic case of if not shooting the messenger, shooting the messaging app. And if you think about the sort of larger issue, the problem is this: India is a country with 19th century literacy rates, trying to cope with the 21st century technology. That's what's happening over here, right? Why is this not happening in all the scores of other countries where WhatsApp operates? This is not happening in Brazil. This is not happening even in Indonesia. This is not happening in other places. This has been happening in India because a lot of people have come online and a lot of people have instantly turned to smartphones. I'm not blaming these people for being uneducated, right? They're not sure what they get something on WhatsApp, they take it as news. And what you have from the government side is this desire to shift the blame. Because if you look at the issue more closely, this is a failure of governance. What are the cops doing? Right? Mm-hmm. Why are these things not happening elsewhere? And so this idea of displacing the blame, moving it from the administration, or if you want to take a longer view, moving it from the educational system and other issues that India hasn't dealt with successfully over decades. So I think this is really, I wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal and the headline was "WhatsApp gets a bum rap." And I think that's really how I feel about this.
It's interesting. I pulled your headline up. I'll go to you with this, Apar, but I pulled that headline up because you mentioned it. WhatsApp gets a bad rap. You can see it there. We'll tweet it out to our audience. And people online on YouTube right now are also saying, yes, education is what should be focused on. But there is someone here who says something a little differently. This is SM Hoaxslayer, that's his handle. He says, yes, these changes are much needed, and they can bring down the range of spreading of misinformation a lot. Now, the WhatsApp restriction to 5 forwarding and adding a label that says it's forwarded are good initiatives, but people need to be told in strong and large words not to forward messages they are unsure of. Apar, your take?
So I think that I would just disagree with that suggestion as well, because we are looking at social media from a very restrictive standpoint. We're looking at it from the perspective of harm, we're looking at it from perspective of injury, and also looking at it from a very security standpoint. The thing to remember is that 4 out of 10 Indians is online right now, is possibly through a smartphone. We have the highest number of WhatsApp users in the world, using it for all kinds of human activity. So they talk to their friends, they get in touch with their family, they conduct their business, and it's something which is much larger. So if you only see it from the perspective of the violence which is being caused right now, and we are attributing that to WhatsApp, which I think is actually a failure of law enforcement, then we are quite basically reducing the benefit of a technology and basically putting a big warning sticker on it that we are presuming it to be inherently injurious to its use. And the thing is that product changes which are made over a period of time need to be calibrated and need to be gauged as to what amount of public benefit they result in. So if you just make it much more prominent than it needs to be.
I think just to add to what Apar is saying, right? The other problem is not just lynchings. WhatsApp is also used for various other kinds of problematic content. Okay. The government is grappling with the fact that child porn is now being spread on the platform, and there's no way for the government to figure out who's spreading it. There are tons of groups today that the government is trying to figure out where this child porn is coming from, who's posting it, and platforms like WhatsApp are giving safe haven to these folks to spread problematic content of that sort. So there is a need for traceability, to ensure that the government can figure out where this is coming from.
I actually have, that's really the heart of the issue, and I'm glad that Burgess raised that, because, WhatsApp is designed to be private. So once you allow what the government says it wants, WhatsApp ceases to be WhatsApp, right? I have friends who are Indian politicians who will, if I wanted to have a conversation with them, will say, hey, let's speak on WhatsApp because I know that they're not able to listen in. Mm-hmm. So once you do this, you've essentially destroyed what makes WhatsApp WhatsApp. And that's why I think that's what makes it such an enormous decision.
Is your ability to have a private conversation trumping the use of WhatsApp to spread rumors? What's more important here?
So in my view, that what the government is proposing is going too far, right? The other thing that we have not really touched upon over here, which goes beyond the sort of very limited issue of lynchings, is the the larger issue of fake news and rumors and things. And in many cases, the people who are doing that are associated with political parties, including with India's ruling party. So it's very, very complicated. And against this backdrop, if you suddenly allow a very heavy-handed government to get in and break the privacy of WhatsApp, I think this has many implications that have not been thought through.
I think one more thing that you need to talk about is the fact that it's not just WhatsApp that needs to be looked at, right? There are various other platforms that are similar to WhatsApp that operate in India. So it's a little problematic to make this a WhatsApp versus everything else debate. I think it's a look at how do you deal with content on platforms where the government cannot interfere. So it could be Signal, it could be Telegram. It's not just WhatsApp. So I think WhatsApp shouldn't be getting all that blame for all this kind of problematic content that's spreading on the internet.
I'm glad you said that, because someone on YouTube agrees with you. Huda says all social media is spreading fake news, not only on WhatsApp. And I think what they mean there is that it is possible to spread quote-unquote fake news on lots of different platforms. So someone else on YouTube picks up on something that you mentioned, Sadhana, and Praveen says the government should not have any access whatsoever to encrypted, secured, private messages of Indians unless warranted by a legitimate court order as a last measure. So someone who also agrees that this is going just a bit too far. But I want to pick up on that point.
That's an important point, right? And the fact is that the government has not said they want to break encryption. The government has said that we want WhatsApp to build a mechanism that any content shared on these platforms, if the government has a legitimate court order, it can go back to WhatsApp and ask who shared a particular piece of content. The government is not saying, I want to break into your encryption. They are okay with encryption. They're saying we want to figure out who posted a certain piece of content.
Burgess, as a lawyer, I'll just jump in here. The thing is that India does not have any data protection or privacy, and we don't have any meaningful safeguards which can be enforced. There's no judicial oversight, so as to say, and a technical protection, which is end-to-end encryption, which is employed against WhatsApp, is quite often the only meaningful recourse today ensuring a user's privacy or data protection today. So it's a technical standard because the law is absent largely.
Besides,
and even the data protection law which has been proposed does not have any surveillance safeguards. The government is dragging its feet over it, and it's most likely it won't do it.
Burgess, also, you and I both know that once you allow this in India, all it's going to mean is that the cops are going to come after you for sharing some, dopey cartoon of the Prime Minister that they don't like. So let's not sort of, get all high-minded and say that, oh, this is going to be used in a very limited way in the most extreme of circumstances. That's not what's going to happen. And we both know that that's not what is going to happen.
Arya?
No, I think that's a really big concern.
Let me just make space for Arya, because Arya, I want to put something that WhatsApp actually said about the proposed changes to you. But you go first. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. I was going to say that I think that what Sadanand raised is a big concern, and especially considering the fact that so much political campaigning actually happens via WhatsApp. I think the thought of a government having much tighter control of it is worrying for the integrity of elections as well, because what chance do opposition parties have if the government and the ruling party has an ability to has a much tighter control over the kind of speech that's being shared over WhatsApp, and if it's not truly private anymore.
Arya, let me just put this to you as a tech reporter. This is the WhatsApp spokesman, and he said this February 12, 2019. What is contemplated by the rules is not possible today, given the end-to-end encryption that we provide, and it would require us to re-architect WhatsApp, leading us to a different product, one that would be fundamentally not private.
Yeah, so WhatsApp has been pushing back pretty strongly against the Indian government's attempts to institute some sort of traceability, which has been happening mostly since last summer when a lot of the mob lynchings were reported. And I think that WhatsApp's concern is that they would have to completely restructure the way that their product is designed, and they feel that it wouldn't be fair to their users who have been ensured a private way of communicating. And I do think that this is definitely something to weigh, whether the importance of private communications is something that we want to weigh higher than ensuring the traceability of and making sure the government maybe has more tools to trace fake news or other types of content that they might deem objectionable.
Just
and that's
to add
definitely
to what
a
Arya is
difficult
saying,
choice.
right? I think that it's fair that the government is trying to do something on fake news and all these problems that suddenly have popped up in India, because there is a lot of pressure on the government to take some kind of action. But the question is the government, or at least is the intention of these rules to break encryption, or is the question that the government wants to try and figure out how do we create some kind of rules that we can access who's posting this kind of content? Sadanand may well feel that it's a way for the government to become Big Brother, which is possible, but I'm not sure that that's the intention of the government.
Part of this conversation is detached from reality. Fake news. The biggest purveyor of fake news in India is a site called Postcard News, right? They put out pure fabricated garbage to target minorities and other groups, and the Prime Minister follows the founder of Postcard News. Now, I recognize that you work for a company, and these are not things that you can say as bluntly as I can, but can we be a little bit real about this debate?
Yeah.
So
Just
someone else that is
to
being
that.
real about this debate, I'm going to, because there was a hypothetical question put out there. I'll answer it here with this tweet. This is Sheikh Wasim, who says the solution to misinformation is more information rather than no information. This clampdown is only aimed at curbing free speech and dissent, a hallmark of the current regime. They're calling the government regime there.
What's this guy's name? He's right.
Sheikh Wasim.
Yeah,
Sadanand says you are right.
Please like him from on my
Before you
behalf.
go on, though, I will like that. I'll retweet it too. I want to play a video comment though from someone who is of the mind that this might just be a slippery slope. She works for the Center for Internet and Society in Stanford, California. Here's her take.
The thing to remember about end-to-end encrypted messaging services is that you can't just break the encryption for one purpose, such as trying to combat fake news. You're going to break it for all purposes. So while it might be socially beneficial for the Indian government to be able to stem the tide of fake news, the proposal from the Indian government would also have an impact on people's ability to organize political rallies, to communicate dissident thoughts, or just communicate privately.
So Burgess, keeping that in mind, what would you do? What proposals would you like to see put forward?
I think it's important for the government to figure out a way that doesn't break encryption, doesn't break the people's right to privacy, but yet the government can try and understand. And I think Australia has done a fantastic job at this, of trying to build some kind of law that would get the government to figure out who's posting this kind of content, because child porn is a serious issue, fake news is a serious issue, and if the government can't figure this out, there's going to be a problem.
Right now.
There's going to be a problem for
Just to start off, the Australian example that you've cited is a horrible example, and I think it's been called out by most rights organizations all over the world. And, you know, the government of India is not stopping at breaking end-to-end encryption. It's also saying that they are requiring now platforms, and this is not platforms, this is any online business. Most online businesses would be covered by it. So you can't do end-to-end encryption, number one. Number two, you install tools for user-generated content, for unlawful content. Now, this can be anything. Third, you need data indefinitely for all purposes of time if any government official asks them to. And third and fourth, you need to send notifications every month mandatorily to every user that you have, telling them what is legal and what is illegal. This sounds like a corporal act. It sounds like a sound like the internet.
I'm just going to jump in here because it's a little difficult to hear you. Burgess, go ahead.
I just want to respond to that. Respond to that. Firstly, that's a draft document. Secondly, in the meeting that they have had with companies, and I don't know the discussion that they have had with rights activists, but with companies, they've made it very clear that they're willing to listen to what people have to say, and they're going to change some of those rules.
In the last 2 minutes of this conversation, Burgess, thank you for jumping in there. To me, there's something really obvious. You're using a WhatsApp device, but it's people who are responsible for going out and then behaving violently. So I'm looking here at some street theatre education that's happening in India. We started off with a little ad campaign, which is share joy, not rumours. I am just wondering, maybe it's about personal responsibility, not about the government stepping in. What do you think?
I think it is about, and it's about it's about creating an environment where you have less of this. Right? That great clip you showed from that police lady, I think that's exactly the kind of thing you need. She goes out there, she sees someone in a village and they're sleeping outdoors when they should be, or sleeping indoors when they should be sleeping outdoors, and she says something's wrong. And that kind of flexible, responsive administration, I think, would go a long way towards this. But the worry is that the government is using this as a red herring, because what they really want to do is just control information flows.
So Donna, there's someone on YouTube who agrees 100% with you. Shamil says that man in the black jacket is excellent. So I wanted to share.
I paid him for that.
I wanted to share with our audience this last comment, though. This last comment on YouTube. Luck here says education should be something the government puts in place to counter all the rumors instead of restrictions.
All right, so that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much to our guests for joining us. You can keep the conversation going by following us on Twitter, and we're at AJ Stream. We will see you online. Thanks for watching. See you next time.